and welcome to today's webinar, Jobvite Best Practices series. Today's focus will be Acing College Recruiting. My name is Brian Hartwick. I'm a relationship manager here at Jobvite. Today's webinar will be led by Andre Boulay. He's a director of Engaged Services here at Jobvite. According to us, he's got more followers than Gaga, so he's got some background that I'll cover. He's very tenured in the industry. He's been in a lot of people's seats, and so I'll cover that in a few moments here. Just a couple of tips for everybody on today's call. All of your lines will be muted to avoid background noise. Please feel free to type your questions as they come up into the question box and the GoToWebinar widget, and Andre will be able to address those at the end of the webinar. Quick highlight, as I mentioned, I'm a relationship manager here at Jobvite. Some people may not know what that means, and so what we do in the relationship management team, there's about 7 of us on the team currently. We are your main sales point of contact here at Jobvite. What that means is that we are there to make strategic recommendations and share best practices from our other clients. We also manage the contract renewal process and pricing. We act as liaisons between you and other departments within Jobvite as necessary. But most importantly, we also are in charge of doing product demonstrations, reviewing potential optimizations based on your organization's specific needs around talent acquisition. For example, when you look at the Jobvite platform as it stands today, we have several products included here, starting at the top of the funnel activity like Jobvite brand. So in the context of university recruiting, we would have a call and discuss how a dynamic mobile optimized career website with a section about your internship program with pictures and videos or even blurbs.
Oh. Can you guys hear us?
Can you?
I want to verify you guys can hear us right now. Okay, wonderful. We had one person that stepped in and said that they could not. So, okay, looks like the majority of you guys are hearing the audio loud and clear. Wonderful. Thanks, guys. And sorry to interrupt you, Brian.
Yeah, no worries. I think if you're having audio issues and you're not hearing me, please try to dial in separately from a landline rather than using your computer audio. I have seen that. WebEx and.
Great advice, Brian. Thanks for sharing.
So, again, from a relationship manager perspective, just to kind of button this up, is obviously we would cover the platform within the context of what your organization needs and talk about the different products that we offer. Obviously, we're known for Jobvite Hire, the ATS, which is on the right-hand side there. But of course, we have video, which is an asynchronous video screening tool, which is a very popular tool, especially if you're doing a lot of phone screens or even remote executive hires. Source, which is obviously the referral capabilities in Jobvite Engage. I'm not going to steal Andre's thunder because that's his bread and butter, but that is our recruiting, marketing CRM tool and services that go along with it. And of course, Jobvite brand being the career website optimization and mobile enhancement, sort of a service and a deliverable. And all of that's wrapped around being mobile, having analytics to back it up so that you can prove ROI, being SaaS and cloud-based, and obviously integrating to your other business systems where necessary. And then obviously, very exciting times here, we are also going to be adding onboarding, which launches next week as an early release for existing clients. So we've got a new onboarding tool because you've spent a lot of time and energy making sure people have a good candidate experience. We believe that that should not end when you bring them into the organization and get them up and running. With that, I want to introduce Andre. He has more followers than Gaga, as I mentioned. He's someone on the team that has sat in your seats. He's led multiple global talent teams for many years. In his last year before joining Jobvite, he utilized Jobvite Engage for over 70-plus university recruiting events. So with that, Andre.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. And the Gaga is a joke. I have a decent number of followers in talent acquisition on Twitter, and I was visiting our corporate office at Jobvite headquarters a few months ago, and one of our new hires whispered as I walked by, "That's Andre. He's got more followers than Gaga." And I definitely do not have as many as her. But again, we use social media recruiting quite a bit, and Jobvite Engage when I was a customer. I was brought in to build out the global sourcing team for the Salesforce Marketing Cloud. You'll see the little chart with the cloud here in the middle. That was our growth. So again, I came in at a very explosive time and indirectly managed over 45 individuals utilizing Jobvite Engage. But we did quite a bit. We saved over $3.5 million in just hires alone. But we also really revamped how we did our processes across university recruiting as well. So for all of you on the call today, everything that I'm going to be sharing with you, it's all something that I've helped personally led or seen done before, as well as seen other individuals roll this out. So we're excited to kind of share leading best practices from programs all over the world, specifically North America for the majority of them. It will help to give you guys a great concept of how to really kind of take the next level with your university recruiting. So guys, sorry, I jumped slides too quickly. One of the fun things we want to do as well is we're going to encourage everybody to have your phones out. If you've got questions as well, you can chat them in the chat section. We'll be recording them there to answer towards the end. We're also want to keep the conversation going afterwards and during. So if you have anything you want to mention JV Chat with hashtag on Twitter, and we'll keep the conversation going across social as well. All right. So getting started today, why is college recruiting important? Obviously, all of you individuals that have signed up for the call, you took the time to block an hour of your day. Again, I'm assuming the majority of individuals on the call are dealing directly with university recruiting and college recruiting. So again, it's a simple question, but I think now so more than ever, if you're in a role that deals with university and college recruiting, your role is extremely important. And we're going to go into why that is. Right now if you look at just the individuals that are attending college and universities in the fall of 2015 from the fall of 2000, it's increased, substantially from, 15 million to, close to 20 million. So a huge number of individuals are going to college. It's not like in the past where individuals would maybe go to, they graduate from a high school and they would go on to a profession. We really have a huge segment of the population that is geared towards university recruiting. And that's not just major universities as well. It's also individuals going to two-year colleges. So no matter what level you recruit for, whether it's blue collar or white collar, it's extremely important to have a presence with university recruiting. And again, we've changed the time. I mean, this is a very unique time for the workforce as a whole. You have an entire generation of baby boomers that are retiring and they're being replaced by a new workforce in the millennial workforce. So again, we're really in a time now where things are changing dramatically. So the good news for you being in a role where you're going to be focused on university recruiting, the things that you're doing today are really things that you can take back and roll out to your global recruiting team as well, because we've really seen a major shift, especially in the last 18 months, of individuals that are recruiting for their talent, very similar to how universities are recruiting or companies are recruiting at universities. Individuals are now coming to companies not to stay for 20 years. They're coming because they want to stay for two to 4 years. They have a checklist of things that they want to accomplish, essentially get their degree in a certain area of their profession, and then move on to another company similar to moving on to another university. So again, I think when you look at the new employees that are in the driver's seat as they look, they're looking at work-life balance, growth opportunities, company culture, compensation, modern technology, very similar things to why they want to go to a university, why they want to be attracted to that. So it's extremely important to tie that into what you guys are doing as you're focused on university recruiting. So again, what are the benefits of college recruiting? Again, they're huge. I mean, for any program, it's going to be to identify emerging talent. But it's also to have insights on what's happening in the workforce. It's great to tie into the on-campus career services, really focus the student unions, but really strengthen your employer brand. Again, if you're just showing up to an event and that's all that you're doing, you're missing out. I had a university recruiting leader talk to me recently about utilizing Jobvite Engage, where they had a student that they really liked. They went through their program. They met them on campus. They came into the Jobvite system. Ended up giving an offer to the individual, and they were shocked when he turned them down and went to a competitor of all things. They were extremely disappointed, but they didn't say no, they didn't end the conversation there. They reached out to that individual once a quarter with an Engage email campaign just to touch base, let them know things in this particular individual's area of interest that had been happening, and it was a simple quarterly email that went out. So it went out, 8 times over a 4-year period. Well, lo and behold, after 2 years of experience at a competitor, he came back and said, hey, you know what? I've really enjoyed your communication. I love seeing the growth that's happened, in the last 2 years. I'm 100% ready to be on board. So here, 8 emails over a 2-year period now brought over someone they were going to hire originally, but actually now the individual has 2 years of experience at a competitor. So it's extremely important to remember you're not going to hire everybody you talk to at university recruiting. What you are going to do is plant the seed and make that impression that maybe for their next career change or maybe 2 career changes down the road, they're going to remember talking to, they remember the conversation they had with Annie Orvis, and Annie really made an impression on them. And they said, you know what, that Annie had a great personality. She shared a lot about why she loved working for ABC Company. I've already have a job lined up. I guarantee I'm going to tell my friends about what they're doing. And again, I'm going to keep my eye out for things that are happening at ABC Company based on talking with her. So again, you guys are all wondering, how do you recruit the best emerging talent? How do you guys stand out from everybody else? Is it going to be who has the best booth? Is it going to be who has the best swag? We're going to counter all of that today. So when you think about what not to do, it's kind of an easier starting point than what you should be doing. So when you think about it, don't be old school. If any of you guys are still taking paper resumes, you're only making your jobs harder. I know what it's like. I've been there the days of paper resumes where a colleague and myself would go to a major university. We would have great traffic at our booth. We would have 200 resumes when we got done. We'd get in the car, and all of a sudden on the back of the resumes, I wrote an A through F system. She wrote a 1 through 10 system. So again, you're already going to have to take a day out of the office to do this, and then you've got to come back in and manually import all of the resumes and all the information. And then at the end of the day, you're not going to hire all those individuals. So again, really, when I was as a customer, we really utilized Jobvite Engage to make this much simpler. And again, we found that by increasing efficiencies by utilizing the software, we were able to go from a 2-person university recruiting team to a 7-person university recruiting team in just 3 years because of the saves from the technology. So again, don't focus all of your energy to just be at the job fair. Don't say it's just the job fair and that's it. And don't think that if you got the coolest drone you're giving away or the coolest pin that lights up and tells their future, the swag's nice, but again, reinvest those dollars in being more agile in technology and really look at college recruiting as a seasonal event. As a customer, we really had a different email campaign that would go out at different times. We knew when it was going to be finals for all the universities. So the week of finals, we would send out a nice reminder wishing them good luck and kind of giving them best tips to study for their finals. Little things like that where we could touch, 200 students at Purdue University or UCLA or MIT. Again, little ways to utilize the technology where they're like, hey, nobody else has reached out to me that I talked to the job fair. That's really cool. They sent me this nice little web campaign or email campaign that really talks about best practices. So there's a lot of very neat ways to do this throughout the year and make it more of a seasonal approach. So again, you want to make sure that you communicate to your employer brand. Show who you are. Every culture, every company has a different culture. They're all going to be different. Definitely focus on where they are. We know that students especially are always on mobile and social media. So if you're not capturing that with your recruiting campaigns, you're really only doing half the battle. So really think about it as an ongoing process. It's about relationship building. Again, can I tell you the names of every recruiter that I talked to if I went to see 20 different booths at a job fair? Probably not, but if there were 3 or 4 that kept in contact once a month or once a quarter with me over a year, I'm going to get to know them very well, and I'm going to remember them over everybody else. So it's about building that relationship, like really anything else that you would recruit for. You want to just go to a job fair and talk to individuals and then drop off the conversation there for a senior software developer. So it's the same mentality that treating university recruiting like any other department and building that relationship is really going to make things easier for you to have good hires. And you want to make it easy, very easy that they can sign up for job alerts, they can find out, let them choose their adventure on kind of jobs they're interested in. And then when it's time to apply, they can do that very easy. So again, you want to personalize it because again, my name is Andre. I went to visit the GoDaddy booth at this university recruiting affair. Met individuals, went into the system they use with Jobvite Engage. It's great. They know more about me. But I want the ability to I don't just want all jobs that are just internships. Maybe I want to really focus on sales or marketing. So the great part about utilizing this is really make sure when you're using the software, you give the students the chance to show what they want. Really let them come to say, listen, I'm not interested in all of your internship jobs. I'm really focused on sales and marketing. The great thing is with Jobvite Engage, you're able to actually sign up for those job alerts. So then we'll get into this heavier later on in the program. But again, think about that. You can now have targeted messaging. Obviously, maybe you want to reach out to everybody from the UCLA job fair this spring, but maybe you want to do a deeper dive because your #1 priority is to hire junior engineers. and you want to focus on, the 25 students that wanted to focus on engineering careers, again, you can pull them out in Jobvite Engage and give them a very tailored message around exactly what they want and really the 2 or 3 junior engineer internships your company offers. So it's a great way to tailor that communication so it's the right person. I know if I'm reaching out to a sales professional, it's a different message than if I reach out to an engineer or someone that's going to be in logistics or operations management. So it's really utilizing the technology to make it very seamless to do that for several different facets within the same talent pool. So again, I've got a quick hand here, so I jumped 2 slides. So just to go into it, we want to really focus on how the ways you guys that all have Jobvite can really utilize what you're doing with college recruiting. So again, I love this slide. It shows obviously it's a process. It's not something that happens, just overnight. It really is something where you're building a relationship to bring somebody on to hire them. So again, think about college recruiting as an ongoing campaign. And you want to nurture that talent like you would nurture anything. Again, you want to effectively be able to market your brand and let them know what's going on. You want to make sure that, you're reaching out to certain segments that we just touched on. Again, if you've got everyone that comes in from university recruiting, the great thing is you can do different messaging and you can label things on the back end of our system to make it very easy. Maybe you go to 10 events, maybe you go to 10 events in the spring. Maybe you go to as many as 50 events in the spring, depending on how large your company is. But say you go to 10 events and everyone that comes in from those different events will come in labeled into Jobvite Engage as University Spring 2016. And you'll also in each different campaign that you have, you'll say, hey, we want to make sure everyone that comes in from UCLA is marked as UCLA, and everyone from USC is marked as USC, Purdue, etc. Now that's really nice because then you can control your messaging. I'm a big sports fan, so you'll probably hear a lot of sports analogies today. You'll see some cool examples of event campaigns later, but I love March Madness. A lot of these individuals, whether they're alumni or whether they're still on campus, they love their sporting programs. We have this great basketball tournament going on. Maybe you want to reach out to everybody that has come into your system from one of the universities that's in the Final Four. And maybe you want to send a cool email campaign to everybody around, that's from Syracuse, that's from North Carolina, Kansas, etc. Kansas got beat, Villanova, and Oklahoma. So again, maybe you want to reach out to everyone that's coming from Oklahoma, from all the universities you went there, to say, hey, really cool to see that you guys are in the Final Four. Hey, you know what? We're excited. We're getting ready to narrow down our talent pool to really our top final 25% of candidates that we're considering for internships. So just as a reminder, these are the next steps for the different process, whatever. But it's a great way to tie that in very easily. But then at the same time, you can broaden the message as well. Maybe you want to send out once a quarter a really neat spotlight email campaign that goes out to everyone that's come into your engaged talent pool from a university campaign, and maybe that's just once a quarter spotlighting an intern. Maybe you're showing a director of talent acquisition that started out as an HR intern. You're showing their life story. So again, there's really neat things you can do to reach out to 50 people or 1,000 people, and it's going to feel very personalized. It's going to say, Dear Brian, Dear Karen, Dear Andre. So again, you want to make sure you're utilizing our software very easily to do that with the different segments. Yeah, and I have a great question from Krista. Is there a campus event sign-in platform? We certainly do. It's called Jobvite Engage. It's what I used for 3 years as a customer, and I lead the services team for that. So yes, our number one recommendation to use for a campus event sign-up platform is Jobvite Engage. So we'll talk more about that here at the end. But again, we want to make sure that we talk through everything. So you want to make sure you guys get good impressions. Before I joined Jobvite, I was being pursued to be the global director of sourcing for a company called Expedia. I was being chased after to be the North American director of sourcing for Cisco Systems. Both very good companies and very established companies in the world. It's the same messaging. My wife always jokes that how does it not drive me crazy to have over 1,000 unread emails in my LinkedIn page? But I don't reach out to recruiters. It takes something really special for me to talk to a recruiter. So again, people are like that. The students are like that. The best talent you have is like that as well. They don't want to get the same black and white message they get over and over again. If 30 companies send them the exact same message across a single platform, they're going to be like, you know what, I get this, I'm kind of numb to it, there's only so much you can really do. As you see on the right, this is how to send an email campaign, what they would get coming from Jobvite Engage. So Amway does a lot of really good recruiting towards their interns, but also their professional blue-collar and white-collar positions. So imagine if you're a student and all of a sudden you get a very branded, a happy photo, you've got analytics, you've got hyperlinks you can track, you've got a very easy selection to jump into their social media and really kind of find out more about the company. So again, just having them come in from the recruiting fair is really the first step, but it's really how you engage with them, pun definitely intended, to keep the conversation going with these vibrant email campaigns that are really going to be different from, I guarantee, the majority of your competitors and what they're getting from them. So again, the cool thing is you're able to pinpoint your targets as they come into the system. So I know we had the great question about how, what you should utilize, and again, I'm obviously biased, and I would not have walked away from a very nice management role with the Salesforce Marketing Cloud to join Jobvite to focus on Engage if I didn't 110% believe in the software and the product and what this does. Really, this offers you to do so many different things across the board that nobody else is doing right now. So on the right, you've got a snapshot of a campus recruiting template. Again, you can see on there that you can drop in, you can customize this and drop in the date and drop in the campus name. So this could very easily say March 28th, UCLA. It could be April 27th or April 24th, Indiana University, etc. You can customize the language, so it's your company name, it's what you want. And then students, while you're talking to them, they can either drop in a virtual resume from several different options, such as Dropbox, LinkedIn, etc., in the attached section. But they can definitely you can capture their first name, last name, email address, but then areas of interest. And that's where I talked about, maybe they say, listen, I'm very interested in marketing jobs. Great, we'll have you sign up for job alerts that'll now come to you. So if they sign up for jobs in marketing, any good marketing role that comes available from your company will automatically be sent their way. So this is a nice way that they're all going to come into your system. They're all going to be, you can customize each of these event landing pages literally for each event. So on the back end of this, let's just say this one is for today for UCLA. Everyone that comes in is going to be automatically tagged with the UCLA tag, the spring tag, and the 2016 tag. And then they're also, when they choose job interest, they'll be selected with those tags as well. So it's very easy for you to automatically tie these guys to an email campaign where literally, now when the event's over, imagine this, you're not going to have to drive home and get back to these guys in a couple weeks or like everybody else. You literally they're already going to automatically be tied to an email campaign that's built out, and you can just hit send. So again, I had a great question for Mary. Yeah, there actually are not any compliance issues, and I'm glad you said that. Working for the largest digital marketing SaaS company in the world, we were very big on CAN-SPAM laws and all of that. But the beauty of Engage is everything is opt-out. So once you send it to a student, they have an option to say, hey, I don't want job alerts, and then it turns it off in the system so they don't want to get emails or whatever. They can opt out of that. But again, I would say the majority of the students definitely don't opt out. But if they do, it's all in there as well from that way. So Brooke has a great question on how do they automatically tag them. We'll get into that here in a little bit, but again, when we design the event campaign, on the back end, we can actually put the tags out. So again, the cool thing is the event ends, the student's gone to 10 different companies, they've gone to 10 different companies, they've dropped off resumes, they come to your booth, you flat out, and I have customers that use Engage that they don't even they say, no, we're not going to take your paper resume, you've got to use this. So the nice thing is you've got 200 students that have shown interest, they've come into the system. Now the neat thing is, you say the event runs from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The rest of the students that has gone to 10 or 20 different booths, they might hear back from 3 to 5 of those different companies, maybe a month out. But the reality is, it's going to be probably a simple canned message. The great part about Engage is this web event campaign is tied to an email campaign. So the second the event ends, you can hit send, and it's going to send out an email campaign to everyone. It's going to be personalized. It's going to say, Dear Andre, Dear Brian, Dear Karen, Dear Sarah. It's going to feel very personalized. It's going to say, it was great to meet you today. We're so excited for next steps. Here's some different ideas of our program. Here's the LinkedIn profiles of some of our top interns from last year. You can kind of see what they've done. And then as a university recruiting professional, you can go back to your boss and say, hey, we're at UCLA today. We had 200 students come in. We reached out to all of them. And guess what? Here are the analytics. We're actually seeing what they're interacting with in the Engage email campaign and really tracking that and report all of that as well, too. So definitely, again, so we're getting some really good questions coming in. I'll try and address them as we can. A lot of your answers are going to be in the slides that I have coming up as well. But again, hopefully this is making sense for everybody. And again, you don't have to manually enter the information because, again, they can actually, you can actually hand them the tablet while you're talking to them, while they put in their email address and information, they'll automatically be tied to an email campaign together on the back end. So that way you can just automatically hit send the night of as soon as the event ends or the next day or whatever else as well. Or you can schedule it. You can say, the event's on a Thursday. I want to make sure that this goes out to everybody by Friday morning or Saturday or whatever you want to do. So this is what I was telling you. This is kind of where the analytics are very fun. So on the left is one of our power users. Schneider Electric has over close to 80 different web campaigns for the different and email campaigns for the different events they go to. So again, if they go to the University of Michigan, and they have 200 students that opt in, the nice thing is they can take, maybe 44 of those students were very interested in sales because they were going to maybe a sales and marketing school division of the University of Michigan. Well, again, they could say, you know what, we've got, we like to have, our senior sales or our junior account manager positions are kind of our top roles we'll look at for those individuals. They can reach out to those 44 individuals, send the email campaign with, the top 5 job listings for the internship programs or whatever else, and then track the analytics. So again, this can be tailored across engineering, marketing, operations, any role that you have, human resources. So really you can tailor your messaging based on those students' interests. And again, this is what I kind of use myself as an example. The nice part is when you're reaching out to these individuals. And yes, I see a question from looks like Denver. As far as this is used globally, guys. So this is used in India. This is used in Singapore. This is used in London. This is used globally across the world. This is rolled out. So this isn't limited to just a U.S. base. And we have a lot of individuals do a lot of hiring in India and other regions of the world. And we're actually going to highlight where one of our customers used this program to win the best recruiting program for all of Asia, the Asia Recruiting Awards. And I think our last count are 3 to 4 billion people in Asia. So the pretty big wins. We'll go over that in a little bit. But what's really cool about Engage as well is when you get to the interview stage, you can actually, obviously university students, they don't have a huge resume. They've not worked for 20 years. But you might be able, with Engage, you can tap into their LinkedIn profile, their Facebook. If they have a Twitter profile, Engage will let you have a live feed of their actual Twitter embedded at all times. Now, this can be good and bad depending on the student. But again, maybe you find out that they're very big into philanthropy and you're a company that focuses on philanthropy. I know at Salesforce we had 6 days a year that were considered VTO days, volunteer days. And so almost everybody we hired gave back in a certain capacity. So maybe it's a student that's done only one internship, but at the same time they've built out their own charity to feed the homeless or whatever else. You can feature that, have all of their information here, so when they get ready to interview, the hiring manager team, they can have a link to their profile and Engage. They can see the blog they read on feeding the homeless and why it's important to them. They can see how they've kind of built an operations team around this thing to feed the homeless in their neighborhood or whatever else. You can see that they started a web giving back program for teaching inner city kids how to code. You can see all this different information about these individuals. So when they interview with like 5 companies and they come and interview with you, you're going to know more about them as a person where everybody else might just have their LinkedIn profile or just their base resume. So this really gives you a leg up on making an impression and really kind of changing the way you interact with them. Imagine walking in and being like, hey, Brian, great to see you today. Hey, awesome. I saw that you, what do you think of Batman versus Superman? I saw that you're a huge fan of DC and all this fun stuff. I'm a big fan of Superman, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, wow, how did you know that? But again, you're seeing that they put on Twitter they want to go see the movie or little things like that. So it's little ways to show that you've done your homework, and the candidate's going to say, wow, this company really is I'm just coming in for an internship. They've really done a good job researching me, and you're going to make a very good impression in that capacity. So here's a 1,000-foot view. This is a slide that I took from when I was a customer. But again, it breaks it down very simply. So think about, at a 1,000-foot view, how to use Jobvite Engage in web campaigns. Well, web campaigns, they're the landing pages. They collect information from your audience. They can be viewed on a tablet. They can be viewed on a on a phone, on a desktop, laptop, etc. So really the landing pages attract individuals in. And the nice thing is, most people focus on just the day of the event of university recruiting, and that's it. Well, why couldn't you have a recruiting program set up for individuals from UCLA that runs year-round or runs for a quarter or whatever else? You don't have to take this event web campaign down the day of the event. You can keep it up. Maybe if you've got alumni that are UCLA alums, they can share it on their LinkedIn profile, which we'll get into later. But then really, once they come into Jobvite Engage through the web campaigns, they can really utilize email campaigns to follow that with that audience. So talking, having connections, reaching out. We talk about finals week. You could send a be safe during spring break photo. You can do a lot of fun stuff. So you can do a lot of communication. You can do things around Christmas, around major holidays, towards graduation, etc. Because these are going to be individuals that, maybe you've got a group of individuals that you go through the intern interviews and you have maybe 5 of your top people turn you down for somewhere else. Well, how about you send an email campaign to them 3 months out when they go to one of your competitors or somewhere else, just saying, hey, just wondering how you're doing. Obviously we wish we would have got you here at ABC Company. We're still thinking of you. Hope things are well, and we want to keep the relationship going. Well, maybe 2 of those interns come back and say, hey, you know what, the internship, I've been here for 90 days. The internship that I took, it's not what I wanted. I'd love to keep the conversation going again. So again, these are great ways you guys can kind of build that journey with what you're doing. And one of the great parts about all of our campaigns, whether it's a web campaign or an email campaign, they're all mobile optimized. So again, these are all shots from my iPhone. So again, if you're a student, you're going to literally have the ability to get this on your phone. So maybe you're not at your computer, but you know, you're going to have this very vibrant image and this communication from Brian, the recruiter you talked to at the event, coming across on their phone. So the nice thing is when we talked about the day of the event, being able to have everybody automatically tied to an email campaign, you hit send once the event ends, all these students are walking back to their dorms, this comes up on their phone, they're now sitting with like 5 of their friends, they're saying, hey, I just heard from Jobvite, check out what they sent me. And now they're showing their friends, they're basically advertising your company and your cool email campaign follow-up to them on their mobile phone. So it's a great way to, you know, maybe you only talk to 2 of the 5 people in the room, maybe the 3 others never stopped by your booth, but now all of a sudden one of those individuals is now advertising the fact that you're hiring to all their friends as well. So it's a really great way to really get your marketing out there and really make an impression with a large group. Yep, so a great question coming in from Denver. Coming in from Aaron. So she says, once a student is added to the Jobvite, are they allowed to see the company's real-time social media? No, so on the back end, we can see in the candidate contact profile, we can see their social media, but the only way they can see your real-time social media is if you post that. Some companies will have a live Twitter feed on their career site, again, but they're not going to be. They can go and see what you have on Twitter or Facebook or whatever when they're looking for it, but they're not going to have that automatically in there as well. So I hope yep. So yeah, Erin kind of follows that up with, she hopes that it prompts them to follow the companies, and that's 100% correct. What a lot of our companies do, and I only gave like snapshots so that you can actually scroll down and see more. But several links to the social media. So it's really a choose your own adventure. Maybe a quarter of the students want to go to your Facebook page or your Twitter page. I've seen individual companies show the blog or the YouTube page or anything else that they have. So again, we really want to make all of that, because we've really found, especially with university students and especially with millennial workers in general, is they don't want to be talking to as a giant group. They want to be able to have their own experience. So the great thing is 20 students could go to the same web campaign that you have, and the reality is they could all 20 have different experiences. Maybe I go to a hyperlink on a bio of your internship program. Maybe I also go out and watch the videos on your YouTube channel that you've got linked through this as well. Maybe another individual wants to really focus on your Instagram page. So again, you can do it. Again, the students can choose their own experience with it, and that's kind of the beauty of the software. So again, what we've seen a lot of our customers do as well is you can actually, the web campaigns are essentially just your own customized URL. So the nice thing about that is that you can literally text it. So maybe you're going to be on campus, maybe you go to a university recruiting event, you're coming back on campus to do interviews, and maybe you want to text guys the night before, like, hey, in case you know anybody, like here's a snapshot of our continuing education internship program if you want to share with your friends. But you can text these as well to all of the different individuals as long as you have their phone number with just a little hyperlink. When they click it, it opens up into that web campaign for Jobvite Engage. Just a really neat way to kind of capture that with our technology. So again, yeah, the easiest thing is, every event's going to have a different URL. So if you go to UCLA 2 times in the spring and the fall, each time you create the web campaign, it'll have a different event URL, so that the landing page could look almost exactly the same, but the information could come in differently by how you customize it with a different URL. It's easy to open on your mobile tablet, start talking with candidates, and then again, really promote that through the talent community. So again, what a lot of customers can do is, the really beauty of this is really what you do from like year 1 to year 2. So maybe you go to 20 different universities every year, and every year you go to UCLA, you go to USC, you go to Indiana University, etc. Well, the nice thing is you're not going to hire everybody. So how cool would it be if a month before your event say you're going to go to UCLA in the end of April in 2016. Well, you've got everybody in the system that came in from 2 UCLA job fairs in 2015 in the system, and you probably hired some of them. So you could, but again, you probably didn't hire the majority of them. So you could easily do an email campaign to all of them and say, hey, it was great to meet all of you last year. In fact, we've hired several of you. We're getting excited to be on campus at UCLA again. Go Bruins. And hey, here's a sneak peek at the web campaign we're going to use to recruit for that day. Feel free to share this across social media and encourage your friends or people that are still on campus. They can actually opt in and go into our talent pool ahead of time, labeled, possible candidates for 2016. So it's a really neat way to have that go viral as well. All right. Sorry, looking at questions right now. Looks like Madhu has a question that, so yeah, once the student gives their info, it goes into the system. Again, yeah, the beauty of having the web campaign for each individual event, so you can have a different web campaign for every single event that you go to and a different email campaign tied to it. So they come in, and as they're coming in, they're all going to go into Jobvite Engage, labeled and organized how we have them, but they're also going to be tied to an email campaign, so all you have to do is just push the send button right when you're done or afterwards for them all to be communicated to. And it's going to be personalized with their first name and everything else as well. Yeah, great question from Aaron. The texting feature is at no cost. It's just a matter of if you've got the ability to text, just text it to their phone number and drop in the URL and then the link from there. So, yep, great question. It's at no additional cost. So again, this is one of the things that I love the most about utilizing Engage. You know, obviously you've got limited resources. A lot of times someone in university recruiting is either by themselves or it's a small 2 or 3 person team. So you want to enlist your allies without the company. So again, the beauty of using the tool is that recruiting does not have to stay in recruiting. And what I mean by that is that the next thing is the web campaigns for the event. Say it's going to be hiring for UCLA, or in this case, this is a web campaign that was geared to share that this company, Tenable, has been recognized as one of the top best places to work, etc. You can embed that into anybody's profile. So if you're going to go to UCLA, a week before, if you've got one of your executives that is a UCLA alum, he or she can embed this into their profile. Better yet, have them change their LinkedIn profile the week of the event to them wearing a UCLA t-shirt and really advertise it. So again, anybody that is connected with them on LinkedIn can click on it, instantly go into the campaign and engage and opt in. So the beauty of these are that, if you can share these virally as well too. So it's nice that you can, maybe you want to share a week ahead of your event with the UCLA alumni page and say, hey guys, we're going to be on campus to recruit. We're really excited to bring you on to GoDaddy or LinkedIn or Jobvite, etc. We would love it if you could share our web campaign to anyone you know that's a current student and have them opt in ahead of time. So it's a really great way to do that as well. So again, we want to make sure you guys can fully utilize Jobvite. So think about approaching college recruiting as an ongoing campaign. Really source and nurture that emerging talent as it comes in, and then effectively market and brand your prospective candidates. So again, enable targeted email campaigns and segment your communication. So you're having those journeys to bring them from passive candidate that really has maybe only heard of you as a brand name but doesn't really know what your company and what you do, and really kind of bring them on board to really be a part of the company family. So again, I'm going to dovetail what I want to jump into next. I'm going to show you some examples of kind of the group that I lead, and then we'll finish up by going into, I want to showcase some of the best users of Jobvite Engage with these campaigns around the world to kind of give you some snapshots of what they're doing, and then we'll finish up for Q&A. So I know we've got about 15 or 20 minutes left. We're making good time. So again, appreciate you guys having all the questions and keep them coming in. So what Brian mentioned in the beginning is, I was brought to Jobvite Engage. They actually created a role for me to come on board and build out the first ever professional services division around Jobvite Engage. And when I thought about it, I've been in recruiting for large companies for over a decade. I know what it's like. We buy this awesome software and everybody says, hey, it's going to change everything. We get to our implementation, aka our training. Somebody comes in for an hour and zooms around a screen, shows all the things they know how to do, and they say, okay, you're trained, you're ready to go. And we literally stare at ourselves in the room and say, I have no idea what he or she just showed me. So when I really came in, I wanted to think about, take a step backwards. Usually when you buy a software, it's really thought of as from a software person rolling out how the software works. We really changed that. I wanted to think about it as, how is a recruiter going to learn best? How would a university recruiting manager or a university recruiting individual really utilize this software? So every time my team comes in to lead our services, every session is customized. So every company is going to be different, whether you're a 500-person tech startup or you're a 180,000-person global energy company. We're going to really tailor what you do based on who your company is, and so we're going to really make sure you get the best results from that. I always joke that I was responsible for a roughly $600,000 technology budget and spend as a leader at Salesforce. And the reality is, if I went to bat and said, I'm going to spend $50,000 on this campaign or this software, it better darn work, or else my boss is going to say, Andre, that was a bad investment. So I always think of you guys, and again, the goal is with our services, at the end of the period, we can come back and show real measurables in ROI to really show success for you to go back to your leadership with. So again, I've kind of gone a little bit backwards. Instead of hiring individuals that are coming as pure software implementation managers, I've built my team on individuals that were managers of recruiting or senior leaders in recruiting. So again, they're very strong with software systems and utilizing Jobvite Engage, but the reality is you're talking, with my team, every time you work with somebody from our team, you're talking to somebody that has a background in recruiting, they've done the university recruiting you're talking about. So again, our customers have really responded well. On the right is kind of a fun example. This is actually one of our customers that launched an office in Dublin, and they built out a few different web campaigns through Jobvite Engage. Here's a campaign on your right that is over a mobile device, and kind of a fun story. They're actually hiring ahead of schedule. They're beating all of their projections. They had a lot of dollars, set aside to possibly go towards having to potentially use a third-party recruiting and pay fees because they're going into a new market, a new country, and really they've been able to have so many hires through Jobvite Engage. It's really helped out on a lot of fronts for that. So again, a really fun thing to see there. So we have 4 different kind of standard programs that we offer. We really started out, the first program we built out was our ESS program. It's really 90 days where my team comes in, I'll work with leadership, with yourselves. We'll build out really your strategy. Maybe you say, listen, we're going to go to 20 events on campus. We want to build out 3 different really nice web and email campaign bundles. And then we want to be trained on how to access those individuals, how to build and how to clone those campaigns and build them out for the rest of our events. We'll build that out. We'll set you up for success. We really do a good program. We'll train your teams on how to utilize the software. And then we'll walk you through your events as well and how to do things as well. After 90 days, we can walk away. You're set up for success. You should know all the things you need to know. You've got your anchor points in Jobvite Engage. What we've really found is our customers came back to us and said, we don't want to give you guys up. We want to keep this going. Like, what do you have as far as a program to really keep the team together and have kind of a subscription model where we can utilize your services every month? So from there, at the early part of after first quarter of last year, we developed our Engage Managed Services. So this is the program we recommend where it's really kind of where we pivoted to as a company. It includes the full 90-day program that the ESS has, but then afterwards you have different buckets of hours. So you've got 5 hours a month, 10 hours a month, 20 hours a month, and that way my team essentially becomes an extension of your recruiting team. You might say this month we want to use 16 of our 20 hours to build out multiple web page campaigns and email campaigns for more university recruiting events we're doing. Or maybe you might say, hey, I want to really talk about strategy. We want to really build out a good strategy to utilize Jobvite Engage to go after all the individuals that turned us down for internships that are still competitors. We want to go after them. Maybe you want to do some different reporting. So it really lets you do a lot of different things through our software system through a complete team of individuals from our group. And the nice thing is, I talked about my numbers. We saved $3.5 million in just hires from Jobvite Engage over 3 years. We improved processes to, go from 2 individuals on the university recruiting team to 9. But we've now rolled this out, to, literally dozens upon dozens of customers all over the world. And everyone that's gone through this has seen big results. No one goes through our professional services and says, oh, it's okay, we've done all right with it. Everyone that kind of follows our plan and works with our team has been like, oh my God, we're seeing monstrous results. So it's great to see that across every vertical, every industry, everything that's out there. So again, this is a great customer of ours in Bankrate. They do a lot of fun, really cool web and email campaigns. Another customer on the right has over 180,000 employees. This is just for their North American team. Literally from year 1 to year 2 using Jobvite Engage professional services, they saw a huge increase in direct sourcing hires, over 62%. And you'll see some snapshots on what they did with university recruiting here in a second. So I wanted to spotlight these guys for a second. This is one of our groups that nobody does it better than these guys. Tenable is by far, I think, globally the leader in event-based recruiting. Hopefully you can see it's a little dark in the back image, but that's a bracket. So we created a web campaign to go after hiring at all levels during March Madness. So there's a bracket, and the bracket, instead of having the different basketball teams, it has all the different roles they're hiring for. So it's a really cool, they've really launched this to have a lot of success. They've had over 1,000 views in the last 2 weeks having this launched out. Keep in mind, they're a company of roughly 600 people. So again, they've done a really good job as they've grown from 400 employees to 600, and as they keep growing at a very rapid rate, they've utilized Engage to really have a huge presence across a global group, or individuals that have maybe never heard of them as a company now know who they are and are definitely starting to come work for them. And again, the Director of Talent Acquisition, Sean Mitchell, is a good leader. He gives a great quote here on what they can do with Jobvite Engage. Yep, wonderful. So great question from Erin. She asked, does the design come from you, or is it something that your creative team does? So that's kind of the fun part about all of our services. Every time that you guys utilize our services, when we were building out those web and email campaigns for you, you get a dedicated marketing team to build out your creative. So the nice thing is, you kind of tell us what you want. We'll give a few different revisions. We'll make sure that we get it right, and we'll launch it for you. So you have an entire dedicated marketing resource at your disposal. So Tenable, as a company, is a good example. They're actually based out of Columbia, Maryland, but they're a global company. So they do a lot of hiring in North America, obviously, but also they did a lot of hiring in Europe. And there was a thing called the Rugby World Cup, which I played rugby for a long time. It was near and dear to my heart. The majority of you guys are like, what is the Rugby World Cup? Well, over in Europe, it's a huge deal. It's every 4 years. It's like the World Cup for soccer, but it's for rugby. So they did a great job of launching a program. And even though the majority of their hiring is in North America and they've got good hubs over in Europe, this campaign got a lot of traction. Literally, they had 1,500 views from passive candidates in the first weekend alone of launching this during the Rugby World Cup. So again, they do a really good job. And this is where the beauty is, if you're a 2-person company or a 500-person company or a 200,000-person company, one of the things that we do with our professional services training is we'll tie everything together to social media. So the nice thing is, we'll teach you the right time to share different events, share different campaigns to do hiring. Again, we talked earlier, March Madness. How great would it be if maybe you've already gone on campus in North Carolina? Well, maybe you're going to share, a web campaign about hiring students from North Carolina during the Final Four game when they're playing. So again, you've got millions of individuals that open on the Twitter feed for, Tar Heels or whatever else. You're sharing your web campaign if it's hiring for North Carolina with that hashtag. So all of a sudden, you're popping into that feed, you're getting that visibility. And the beauty of this as well is that you can go viral. Anybody can retweet and share this with their network. So the nice thing is, you can really see complete strangers retweet the fact that you're hiring for your key roles with Jobvite Engage. Yep. Hey, Greg, dear friend, very, very near to our heart. Greg works for a wonderful company, Interactive Intelligence. So as far as the job alerts for social media, what a lot of our customers will utilize how to do it internally is use the billboard feature. So Greg, I don't know if I'm understanding your question correctly about job alerts for social media, like an email that's sent out. So if you can clarify that a little bit, I'm happy to address that. All right, so I know we've got about 10 minutes left, so I want to jump into, Greg. So Greg's question about having alerts. Yes, you can actually build out a social media campaign to push out messaging and content on a scheduled date through Jobvite Engage as well. So you can do that through Jobvite Engage. So who else is doing it well? We've highlighted a few companies so far. So who else out there is doing it well besides this awesome kid with his funky glasses? Schneider Electric, again, they're a company we've worked with. This is one of my favorite stories. We've got a great case study we recently completed on them. They were tasked with hiring over a huge number of positions for their advanced development program, kind of their entry intern program for their office out of Mexico. But unfortunately, their hiring manager was out on maternity leave, and there was a big pressure to do this, and it was tasked on several individuals that were HR business partners in the office in Mexico, but a lot of the recruiting fell on different project managers and employment branding specialists in recruiting from the North America team. So they were going after a huge pocket of individuals with a really short time frame. They were starting from zero. They built a web campaign to attract this advanced development program. Within 24 hours, they launched it. Within a few days, they had over 100 candidates. They sent email campaigns out. They started doing interviews. They hit all of their goals for hiring. They had a huge success across the company for this. And the cool part was they started utilizing the Engage email campaigns for individuals coming on site. So if you had 5 interns coming on site to interview for a position, they would all get an Engage email campaign saying, hey, come to this office. And by the way, here are the 3 individuals you're going to meet with. Here is Karen's LinkedIn profile, Andre's LinkedIn profile, Brian's LinkedIn profile. And they could track the analytics and see which individuals were actually doing their homework and actually clicking on that. And they found the individuals that did their homework on the email campaigns, they saw the analytics of them actually clicking on the profiles and kind of doing the extra step. Those were the individuals that actually interviewed better and then were hired more in that capacity as well too. So just a really neat way as you think about ways to roll this out to the rest of your company. And here's kind of a snapshot of kind of one of their templates for university recruiting. On the right is a snapshot of their web campaign. It keeps scrolling down, but how it will appear on a tablet. That was for the Mexico hiring for their advanced development. Again, they made this on their own based on learning from our professional services on how to do all these things. They made this campaign within 24 hours very quickly and efficiently. Yep, I have a great question from Aaron. Do we have to use the Engage feature? Do we have to go through Jobvite for the build out? No, you can all do it on your own. You can do it 100% on your own as well. Again, you don't have to use services. There was no services program when I was the customer. We did it on our own. GroupM is another example. The majority of our customers like our services. They want to have a guidebook. They want to have a program. They like the consultative approach. But again, anything that we're going to share with you, again, you can try and do this on your own and definitely check out different things in that capacity. We have a lot of online tools available inside the community. Or a lot of individuals will say, hey, we want to use you guys for these things, but we want to make sure our team internally will help do some things as well. We will work with all that together for you. So this is kind of a nice quote from the head of talent acquisition for North America from Schneider Electric. But again, it really speaks to the idea of working with someone that has a recruiting background. It's not just someone that's going to come in and just show you how to use the software. We're going to listen to kind of your use case, what's important for how you do things, and really make a consultative approach on how we roll things out. And I also have the confidence to push back and tell you no as well. We'll have customers that will get so excited when they roll out 20 initiatives in the first few months. We'll say, no, we're not going to have that happen. You've got to learn at the base. What are your top 2 most important initiatives? We're going to tie this to that, and then we're going to show measurables so you can go back and have ROI and success. Oh, sorry. So one thing I wanted to show, and the slide I just jumped over because of time, it was a snapshot of showing Schneider Electric as a group. They were all using Jobvite Publisher, but not very much, and kind of the same stock messaging. We came in, and one of the biggest things we do during all of our services rollouts for my team is we do a social media boost session where whether you do not have a Twitter account or you're extremely big on social media, everybody walks away with a really good knowledge to really amplify what they're doing on social media. They saw a huge spike in not only shares on social media, but they had the largest spike in LinkedIn followers, their company careers LinkedIn page in company history. And then that happened in December of 2014. In January, they had the biggest spike in LinkedIn users in company history. And then at the end of the year, we reviewed, and because of what they did with Jobvite Engage, they saw a 170% increase in social media hires. So again, this is a great way to bring in talent from all different levels using that as well too. GroupM does a really good job. They've got hundreds of different web campaigns they utilize. They do a really good job to reach out to recent grads. And again, very happy to see them highlighted as the overall winners. The guy in the bow tie and the pink jacket he's a very fun person to follow on Twitter. He's their head of talent acquisition. He's also a DJ on the side. He goes by the Twitter handle Moby Dexterous, but really cool guy. The person holding the R in the very middle is Sabrina Zolkivi. She's fantastic. She builds a lot of the campaigns, and she's not a web designer. She's a field recruiting person that literally has learned to do all this on her own. So again, we're going to set you guys up for success across all different levels, whether we're going to build this out on our own and then train you guys how to do it by yourselves as well. So Amway's doing a really good job. They're a brand, everybody knows the name Amway, but I can guarantee a lot of you guys on the call probably don't know a lot about their recruiting program. They're doing a very aggressive campaign right now to hire interns to really educate them on who Amway is, what their culture is. Again, they launched a web campaign very recently, over 1,500 views in the first month alone. So again, really getting a great amount of views and individuals that are interested in their program and knowing who Amway is. So again, it's been really kind of fun to see that. They're jumping in. They've actually had the Engaged Managed Services package where we have kind of the bucket of hours. We kind of pivot each month kind of what they want to do and really have my team be an extension of their recruiting team. So really, guys, we kind of tie things down in the last 5 minutes, and I really appreciate all the questions. You guys have been fantastic as far as being a great interactive audience. Really make sure that when you're doing university recruiting and college recruiting, you communicate the brand and culture, you approach it as an ongoing campaign, you really build out a strong mobile and social media presence, and really, when you're reaching out, make it personalized. Really have a very targeted campaign, and do it easily through our system. And then leverage your technology, whether that's going to be your ATS and they apply, or whether it's doing all of your sourcing, campaigns, and analytics through your CRM, Jobvite Engage, really capturing all of it together. All right, any questions? All right, guys, we've got about 5 minutes left, so we will look for chat questions. I know you guys have been very active, so keep the questions coming. And again, hopefully this was informative today. Hopefully you guys are going to walk away. We will make all of this available via recording as well. I know several individuals reached out to me individually, seeing if they could get copies of the recording for their senior leadership teams to come back and share. So we'll be providing that to everybody as well. Brian, I know I've talked for the last 45 minutes. Anything else to add? I'd love to hear your insight, or really how the renewals team really kind of captures everything with the groups. Oh, I'm seeing a question from Aaron. 1 second. Yep, Aaron, thanks. Yeah, the great thing about the Rugby World Cup is you're able to actually just go ahead and search the feed, and then really kind of see as things are popping up through that on Twitter. As far as the live feed, you can capture that by just going out to Twitter and just searching for the feed during that. There's not the ability to actually, I think you're asking, is there ability just to go in and actually search all things that came in? You can do that on Twitter through an advanced search and see that. Yep, great question. So Cal reaches out and says, what's the recommended length for an email campaign? When's it best to start the campaign, the relationship to when the hires need to come through the door? Obviously, it depends on your time frame. If you're trying to hire a lot of developers by the 1st of June and you're going on campus to get junior developers ready in February, then I would start a month before the event. I would start with a web campaign to start having students opt in ahead of time, and then start the communication really the day of the event and going forward, kind of touching base in that capacity. And this really comes into where, what Callie wants to do might be different than Aaron or Doug or Sarah. So it really kind of comes in where we're very consultative with what we build out for what exactly you want to do to get guys in the door and to do that. All right, Brian, sorry to cut you off earlier. I guess anything you want to add, or how the renewal team really listens to what's really prescriptive for what our customers want and making it?
Yeah, I would say, obviously, if you don't know your relationship manager, obviously Karen, myself, please feel free to reach out via this webinar. We'll make sure that you get connected if you don't know who that person is who's assigned to your account. We'll definitely make this recording available if you're trying to share it upstream with the rest of your teams. But yeah, a lot of times Engage is very much catered to the individual company's needs. Andre and I are working on another client that they're trying to expand into Budapest, and that's specifically a cloud division for them, and they need to make sure that their engineers are top notch and really get ahead of it. So that was their focus. That's why they went with Engage and the corresponding services. So really don't think of it as only university recruiting. You get to use it like a playground. It's anything that your company needs. So if it pivots next year and recruiting from a university is not a focus, but sales is where your team's going to grow or triple, then we'll create campaigns that are compelling for that type of group. That's what your relationship managers are here, to listen to those needs and align Andre and his team appropriately.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. And I would say, guys, I know at the beginning it showed my information. I think I'm the only Andre J. Boulay on LinkedIn. Definitely connect with me on LinkedIn professionally. I love building my professional network with talent leaders, but I share, you can see a lot of things on my profile of examples of what I did as a customer, but I do I try and really focus every month to rotate what some of the best leaders in recruiting are doing to use Engage. So again, you'll see my profile will change to kind of show web campaigns that are live, so you guys can see what these kind of look like living and breathing out in the environment. So again, I just wrote a blog series in January, and I highlighted it out of the thousands of campaigns launched in 2015. I tied it to the top 5 and kind of little case studies and examples. So if you go to my LinkedIn page and kind of check out the LinkedIn Pulse articles, you'll be able to see what other customers are doing to give you ideas as well. And again, it seems like it was I appreciate. Hey, good to see Kevin from our friends at Cloudera. Thank you for the shout out. I'm glad you guys got a lot out of this. Again, we're excited. There's so much you can do with this. I would say, Engage isn't something you're going to learn in 3 months. You're going to evolve. So when we roll out your first, handful of campaigns, everyone's so excited, and rightly so, because they're pretty amazing. It changes everything. But it's so funny to look back 3 months later, 6 months later, and say, oh, I can't believe we love that campaign. We're doing so much more advanced stuff with Engage now. It's really something where as much as you want to learn, as much as you want to grow with it, the software will adapt and grow with you. Guys, that is all that I have. I think we're at time today. I really appreciate you taking the time. I understand how busy you are, and obviously to take time out of your day is really means a lot to us. And we're excited to keep the conversation going, and hopefully I'll be working with several of you guys very soon.